Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents, near and far and everywhere in between. Happy Sunday, happy month of May. This is Genvièv, and you are on Genvièv TV, your channel for forensic and clinical education. Once again, today I wanted to give you a depiction of the magnificent rainstorm that was pouring here just seconds ago, cleansing the earth. And of course, as usual, by the time I start to shoot, the rain is gone, and if we don't have sun, we have fresh air. Good morning, Patrick. Thank you for joining us. Hey. So today I wanted to talk to you about something that's really important to understand with regards to our interactions with others, and especially in intimate relationships where we will be re-triggered to old wounds when we are coming from traumatic past, traumatic early life. And one of them, especially critical and especially sensitive, is the abandonment trigger and the abandonment wound. So understanding what happens when somebody is either unconsciously or very purposely triggering those wounds in an attempt to crush you in Jamaica. We call that liquid sunshine. Yes, I totally agree. I love the rain. You know, they say about storms that not all storms are meant to destroy your path. Actually, most storms are meant to cleanse your path and wash out the debris and wash out the dead weight that you've been accumulating so you can be cleansed and continue. Hello, Henry. Thank you for joining us, and continue on your path lighter. So talking about trauma wounds and the abandonment trigger, this is a very important trigger to understand because it's what I call the monster wound. Your brain is a data processing machine. It's a software that basically the whole point of the brain is to constantly scan what's happening around you and compare it to the database of previous experience that you have been going through in order to be able to respond and react accordingly. So I like to compare that to the facial recognition systems that you see in airports from the NSA or national security agencies out there, that what they are doing is scanning everybody's faces as you are approaching airlines, you're boarding and embarking on an airplane, and they are comparing your faces with, hello Susan, thank you for joining, hi Peter. So they're comparing the distance between your eyebrows, your cheekbones, your nose, the length of your forehead to known targets that have been flagged as potentially dangerous targets. And when there are enough similarities, that's a flag that's being raised, and the person is immediately stopped to be examined, let's say. So your brain is doing basically the same thing. It's comparing what's happening around you to the database of experience that you have been going through the course of your lifetime, comparing the dots, comparing the similarities, and responding accordingly. So it is our way, it's the brain's operating way to control your emotions, your actions, your reactions, your thoughts, and your strategic response to what's happening around you. And so that's very valuable, of course, in day-to-day life. That's how we learn from what we've experienced, and that's how we respond and react. When the problem starts happening is when we're emerging from early life trauma, and the abandonment wound being one of the most critical. The reason being, when you are abandoned as an early child, this is a critical life threat. There's no doubt about it. So at 2 years old, if you're taken from your environment and literally parachuted elsewhere, kicked out of everything you knew, that's a life threat. As a young baby, as a young child, you are supposed to bond and connect with your caretakers, which hopefully are supposed to be your biological parents, in order to find survival possibilities. That's a key, the connection, the bond between a child, a young child, a baby, and usually their mother is the sine qua non for survival. And so when you are growing with that bond, and suddenly you're expulsed from your environment and literally either tossed out in the street or sent out by strangers telling you that you're no longer needed or wanted in your home. That creates irreparable fractures, that creates profound fractures. First of all, it's a life threat. So that little baby, that little child is going to go through the epitome of terror, knowing for very genetic reasons that life as they knew it is shattered at that moment in time, and you are not able to continue with your normal basically path. And so your life is threatened basically if you are tossed out and you have, as a child, especially back in the day. So today there are more systems that are in place to protect children that are abused and thrown out of their environments. Back in my childhood, so in all of us who are about the same decade here, when we were very young and were expulsed from our environments and our homes, that's a critical life threat. So your body, your mind is going to go into hyper alert for very good reason, is your safety is endangered. And as a child, you know that you're vulnerable to those around you that are supposed to protect you. So as adults, you're going to be basically thrown into the hands of danger and possibly not make it. So it's a very, very severe life threat. And you're experiencing that, and your brain is recording that. So later on in life, as you are re-triggered to that abandonment trauma, your brain is going to respond not as the adult of today, where you have options that you didn't have when you were 2 years old or 3 years old or 5 or 7 or 16 even, you know. And when you have a history of compounded abandonment, repeat abandonment, constantly being tossed out, constantly being rejected, you're basically compounding that trauma wound. And that leads you to developing what we called complex post-traumatic stress, or C-PTSD, that, and in trauma centers, if you discuss that with trauma therapists, you will be told that it's extremely difficult to repair, much, much more difficult to repair than simple post-traumatic stress, PTSD, even war PTSD. So complex PTSD, C-PTSD, is much more immersive and pervasive than even war trauma. And so as you're going through adult relationships then, and somebody is either unconsciously or very consciously, very purposely triggering that trauma abandonment by, let's say you're having a discussion and they're not liking what you're saying, so they're bolting and disappearing from your life at that moment in time, in the midst of the night. So that if you're developing a relationship with somebody who knows you, they're going to know exactly and purposely what they're doing with that, is triggering the most agonizing, the most terrifying wound. Why? Because your brain at that moment is not going to respond and react based on your situation of today, saying, well, you know what, good riddance. Somebody is terrorizing me, traumatizing me, they're bolting, all the better, I can rest, right? That would be the adult response. But when we're dealing with early life trauma, your brain will respond and react based on the initial sensitizing event. So the trauma of the 2-year-old or the 3-year-old that is basically abandoned, and the brain has captured that image at that moment in your life as the evidence that this is a life threat, this is a critical situation, this is a situation that you will not survive. And at that moment in time, your brain will respond with the original emotions, no longer the adult emotion, but the original emotion. So there is a panic that explodes at that moment in time that is agonizingly painful. And when somebody is forcing that onto you purposely, that's basically a control maneuver to coerce you into a submissive and subservient role. So that's coercive control. Once again, somebody knowing your wounds, that is purposely punishing you for something you said or did that didn't please their momentary state of mind, and bolting, abandoning you. So we talked about this in the past, as certain personalities will do this if you are experiencing a threat, if you're experiencing a danger and you're reaching out for help. And at that moment, as somebody who's been in that relationship, supporting that person, helping them up, no matter how much it sunk you to support them every step of the way as they were going through difficult events. Because of course, when you're holding somebody through a state of trauma, it's pushing you down. It's a bit like deep sea rescue diver, which I am, attempting to rescue somebody who's drowning. You're placing your own life at risk. As a trauma survivor, when you're uplifting somebody in a state of trauma, it's basically bringing you down, but you're doing it because you know what trauma is and you know how painful it is, and you want to be there for those that you can reach to help them. That's the goal of us trauma survivor who have suffered and experienced that suffering so deep that we basically are not capable of watching somebody else suffer. That's what I experienced as a little girl already. I had suffered so much in early life that whenever I saw somebody in a position of vulnerability, and you'll find this in one of my stories that I published that's called In the Palm of God. When you would see somebody in a state of vulnerability and pain, you recognize that pain at a visceral level and in the depth of your gut, and you feel it as if it were your own, and you know it so much because you were there. So you rush in because you cannot stand to see somebody suffering the suffering that you have experienced early on. And so basically you're throwing yourself to push that person and uplift it, and it's wonderful. It's what basically we hope of everybody that we meet. I'm here for you, you're here for me. When you sink, I keep you up so that you can float and continue floating until you can grab the shore. And of course we assume that the same is going to be returned to us when we have something that shocks us and we drop. And with certain personality type, mostly the NPDs and the antisocial, they will respond in anger when they see you malfunctioning, because they don't see you as a person who is there with needs and fears and in a relationship of reciprocity. They see you as an object that is there solely to serve them. And when you no longer serve your purpose, you're basically a broken object that is no longer has any value. So at that moment, they typically bolt. And what that does, if you have an abandonment trauma, it's going to, so not only you're facing a danger and you are reaching up to grab their hand and say, help me through that, I feel fear. And what you receive in response is they sink you under, and that re-triggers your abandonment wound. And you'll notice that they will bolt and they will be gone until you get back on your feet, because they're not interested in being with somebody who is vulnerable at any moment in time. So here, the purpose of this video is to understand your trigger when you have an abandonment trauma. What is happening? You're not responding based on, the panic is not due to the potential loss of that person at all. The panic is due to the loss of the original parent and the feeling, the very real situation of being in a life threat that you no longer are today as an adult, but you were as a little one. And so the way to understand that is to forgive yourself, first of all, for experiencing that panic, because it's absolutely normal. All that it means is that you were abandoned and traumatized and endangered as a child. That obviously is not your fault, and you are carrying absolutely normal, complex post-traumatic stress that is due to this early life abandonment. And the best thing you can do, and it's hard, is to allow that pain and that panic and that fear to basically consume you, not to fight it, because it's like a fire. It's like a fire that's going to burn you from all layers and levels of your body. And I keep saying that in my videos. When we're facing adversity, it's going to burn us down to ashes. What that does is either we disintegrate entirely, because it feels like a death, literally. That abandonment trauma is just so monstrous. It feels like you're being consumed into nothingness. With the person that you thought was going to hold you abandoning you. So that's the epitome of betrayal. And you're basically consumed by the feelings of terror and life threats and abandonment and betrayal and all of this fire of destruction that is basically consuming you. There's nothing you can do to stop it, basically. It's an early life wound. And so once you understand it, we can repair it with forensic regression to cause hypnotherapy by bringing your adult self back in time when you feel those emotions, those strong emotions of terror and panic, and almost it feels like a madness. The pain is so intense, it's unbearable, it's an agony. Allowing it to basically come up to the surface. When you work with me in hypnotherapy, I bring your adult self back in time to rescue the little one, the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old, wherever you were, the child, the newborn, when you were abandoned initially, and help that little one understand that that was a reflection of the caretaker's issues, the caretaker's problems, their lack of understanding of how to raise a child, how to protect a being, how to be there for that glorious gift that is a child in your life. It's that, the most beautiful gift you can have. How not to celebrate and cherish and protect that being that is there with you, right? So it's a reflection of their own issues. And when we bring your adult self back in time, we rescue that little baby, we rescue that little child. We help that child come back with you into your life of today. And we help that child understand that today you're not going to be abandoned anymore, because when somebody walks away from you, they're lost. When somebody abandons you when you're in a time of need, good. It allows you to see adversity reveals the depth of characters of those who surround you. When you're on top of the world, when you're experiencing successes, everybody's gonna magnetically hover around you and try to keep and grab a piece of your success and be with you. And if when you're hit by adversity, those who desert you are giving you the magnificent gift to see clearly into the truth of their character, who they truly are. And that's a gift. That's not a loss. That's a gift. A storm cleanses. A storm allows you to shed the dead weight, basically, what is not there for your benefit, what is not there for truth and authenticity, to be there through the good times and bad times. So in hypnosis, we go back in time, we rescue that child, we bring that child back with you, and we help that child understand that today they have you, the adult self, as the parent, as the caretaker, as the one who's there to protect and to cherish. And when you're going through this alone, when you're not working with me, allow yourself to experience that pain. Allow that pain to go through you. What it's going to do, it's going to be like a fire of great destruction. And as I've shared in my past videos on adversity, that fire of adversity may well burn you down to the ground. And what it does is it's like those forest fires, you know, that we see as such a great devastation, or those crop fires actually that are started on purpose, because that fire allows to cleanse the forest, cleanse the crop, destroy the weeds, go back into the earth, bring that, all of that, those chemicals back. Hi Manolo, Olaf, La Trinidad, Leonard, Daniele, Paolo, Davide. Ciao ciao a tutti, molto piacere vedere a tutti. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Merci de me rejoindre. So that great fire of destruction, what it does is it allows you to shed the illusions, shed the misperceptions, allow you to see the clarity of who's there in times of need, who's there when you're shaken and when you're crying and where you're saying, please, I'm scared, protect me, who's there and who's not. And it also allows you to see what is happening within you, in that you still are carrying that wound of early life abandonment, and allow yourself to be consumed by that fire of pain and agony. Don't try to block it. Don't try. See, that's when some people turn to substance use and abuse. All they're doing is basically camouflaging the pain and disabling themselves from going through the process. When you embrace that pain and allow it to go through you, and turn your gaze upward and accept that pain as a cleansing chemical combustion, basically, that will destroy, delete, burn out everything that was no longer needed, allowing you to rise from the ashes of destruction and emerge stronger, because you will emerge stronger once you rise up again with clarity of mind you didn't have before, with having seen clearly through the illusion of what was there, and understanding that if you survived at 2 years old, if you survived at 5 years old, if you survive at 16, wherever you were at the age of the original abandonment, when you were a child and you had absolutely no resources around you to protect yourself, if you survived back then from being abandoned from those who were supposed to protect you, believe me, you're going to survive today. And that gives you that magnificent clarity of embracing, as you hear the wild geese behind me doing their spring song, embracing that pain, allowing you to understand that when you rise new, you rise with new strength, and you can recreate yourself, recreate your reality, forgiving yourself for believing those who were not trustworthy in the end, forgiving yourself for serving and trusting, and forgiving yourself from having that negative programming of early life abuse, because you didn't create it, you received it. And that as a wound, you know, in the Chinese culture, they have those vases, those beautiful Mandarin vases that have been shattered. And so some people would think it's a shattered vase, I'm going to throw it away. And some people repair those vases with liquid gold. And they then become a piece of art that is absolutely incomparable and unique. And from the shattered, from the fractured pieces, the lights shine through. The light shines through. Forgive my French, I'm still not fluent speaker in your language here. And so it is our very wounds, it is our very broken parts that make us unique, make us stronger, allow us to understand, comprehend, and relate to the world around us in a way that, apologize for the noise, it's deafening, in a way that we wouldn't be able to do if we hadn't emerged from those early life wounds, because adversity turns us into warriors. It's the story of the superheroes. There's not one story of a person in real life who has transformed the world and left their names never to be forgotten through the history of humanity, or even comic books characters and heroic characters of literature and entertainment industry of all times have all started by being obliterated, betrayed, left to die. And that's from the making of superhero. That's where that strength comes from, and the understanding, the wisdom, the compassion, the ability to feel other people's pain, which is, it's a gift, you know. It may not be comfortable, but it's a gift to be able to relate and comprehend and be there for others when they need us. So just this short, totally unscripted video to remind you that pain is not to be ignored. Pain is to be embraced and accepted and bowed to as a great teacher. Pain is a great teacher. Emotional pain shows us what is still happening within us, what is still in need of being addressed. Emotional pain shows us what is happening around us, who is our tribe and who is not. Emotional pain shows us the way in which we can rise stronger and become more valuable for all others. So that's about it for today, guys. Thank you for joining me. Lots of you today. I appreciate the audience here. Have a beautiful Sunday, everybody. Have a beautiful month of May. Stay strong out there. It's fresh here in the Pacific Northwest. And I will see you soon in next week's video. Until then, enjoy the day, make it a great day, and honor the uniqueness of who you are, exactly as you are. You are a gift exactly as you are. Ciao, ciao, everybody.